We are back to our next session on ethics, trust as a principal value of ethics. We are discussing matters ethics, integrity, and leadership. We are glad to have you here this particular moment. We look forward for very good interaction with you as we discuss these very key matters that bother all the time. Today, we want to discuss about the effects of trust in our life. We have already explored about the dimensions of trust, and we spoke about integrity, capabilities, competences, and intent. And we said that the 4 dimensions provide the trust we can be able to get from you. They give us an insight on who exactly are you in terms of the trust that we can believe in you. And today we want to look at what are the benefits that can be able to arise from a person who is trusted. I gave a hint during the previous presentation. I said, the higher the trust I have in you, the higher the speed of doing business with you, and the lower the cost of doing business. And that is exactly what we are talking about. Now, I also indicated positive effects of trust, which includes the fact that when I'm employing you, I'm looking at intent, I'm looking at your integrity, I'm looking at your intelligence, and I'm also looking at the energy you have. Now, what are the negative effects of trust? Now, here it is where the problem is. If I don't trust you, I will not be able to do business with you until I have done due diligence on you. Right? I have to do diligence on you to know who you are, the company you are running, if you have any issues with your financial institutions, if KRA or any regulatory authority in a respective country is after you, whether you are properly registered or not. The reason being that I don't really trust who you are. But if I have a trust in you, if I trust you, I will not look for KRA things. I'm interested in knowing the level of trust you have. I will look for who are those people that have already worked with you in the past to measure the trust I have with you. And then I'll just proceed. Or if you are introduced to me by another trusted institution or a trusted person, I will move forward without necessarily having to engage you or engage any other person. So the negative side of it is that if I don't trust you, it means I will have to incur an expense. Find out more about your certificates. Which school did you go? Which university did you go? All right. Which institution have you worked for? I want some references from your past employer or the past institution you have been contracted with to give me an overview of who exactly am I dealing with. That is a cost I should not incur if I'm working with a trustful person. As opposed to the person I trust, if I trust you, I don't need to do all this due diligence for reason being that already you have been referenced to me by a person I trust. And so I will proceed to do business with you. I will give you a very good example. Warren Buffett, I like quoting him. When he wanted to sell part of his business to somebody, he got reference, right? And he invited the person for coffee in a hotel in New York. They sat together, had coffee. They discussed how the sale will be done. And that was the end of it. And they signed the agreement. And that was the end of the transaction. And the shares were transferred to the new owner. And that is how it ended. All right. The attorneys were just invited later to look at the documentation and confirm, because according to the laws in USA, that particular aspect of documentation must be there. But practically, the transfer had already been done. I'll give a very good example of myself. I needed somebody to write one of my books, The Ethics of Life. And I told one person I trust very much to refer me to somebody whom I can believe in, a person who is ethical, to write for me the book, to author the book, to help me publish the book. And I was given the name of Radido Doso. And I got Radido's number and emails, and we exchanged. And we agreed on how to proceed. I sent him the draft, the manuscript. He looked at it and he told me what is expected of me and the amount of money I was supposed to deposit with him. And that's exactly what happened. And I deposited the money without even knowing whether it's short, black, brown, fat, or slim. That was not necessary for me. Why? Because he had been referenced to me by somebody. I didn't need to do a due diligence on this person in order to engage him. I paid him even before knowing him. That is what the positive side of trust is all about. So trust only comes because you are ethical. Now, as we finalize this, mark my words, that the higher the trust, the higher the speed of doing business, and the lower the cost of doing business with you. Why? Because some aspects of that cost will now be taken back to me as dividends, what we call the trust dividends, which are actually benefits of working with benefits that accrue from working with a person you trust. Now, if I don't trust you, it means the trust level is low. The lower the trust, the lower the speed of doing business, the higher the cost of doing business with you. Why? Now, why the lower the cost, the speed? Because I have to take a break and find out more about you, incur some expense in trying to look at the company register, whether you are registered, try to look at regulatory authority, tax regulation authorities to see if you are paying your tax or not. All that is an expense that goes to me as a tax. And that's what we call the trust tax. That is a cost on me for working with somebody I don't trust. And therefore, the lower the trust, the lower the speed of doing business, because I have to take a back seat first and find out more about you. And the lower, the higher the cost, because I have to incur an expense to be able to do diligence on you. And therefore, it is always good to do business with the people you trust, people who are ethical, other than doing business with people who cannot be trusted, people who are involved in bribery, people involved in corruption, institutions that are always labeled about corruption and all unnecessary things that unethical things that you can mention about. And therefore, today, I want to wind it up here by saying, the higher the trust, the higher the speed of doing business with you, and the lower the cost. The lower the trust, the lower the speed of doing business with you, and the higher the cost of doing business with you.